Okay, sorry, our committee of the whole meeting ran a few minutes late, so we're just getting things adjusted here to get the regular council meeting started. And everybody is now here, so I'll call the regular council meeting for Monday, April 13th to order at 3:05 p.m. Jody.
Please note, council meetings are streamed live and recorded on YouTube. Attendees acknowledge that in accordance with Section 20 Sub 2 of the Access to Information Act and Section 4 Sub C of the Protection of Privacy Act, names, addresses, and other details provided when speaking at a council meeting will be publicly shared. Should you have any questions related to the collection or disclosure of personal information, please contact the Legislative and Advisory Services Division for the Town of High River by sending an email to atip@highriver.ca. That's ATIPP@highriver.ca.
Thanks, Jody. Adoption of today's agenda. I will ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that Council adopt the agenda for the regular council meeting April 13th as amended to remove item 5.6 regarding the disclosure statements, as both of those individuals have submitted their disclosure statements this morning, so we can remove that requirement.
You have my motion, Mayor.
All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the last meeting minutes. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Brookwell that Council adopt the March 23rd, 2026 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
You have my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. We start off with our public comment section, so anything that's directly related to today's agenda, if you wish to come forward and share your comments on any of these agenda items, you're welcome to put your hand up and we'll get you to the front at this time. See none, hear none. Thank you. So first one, Shelley, I will have you come forward with the Family Resource Network application update.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us here today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Shelley Coote and I'm with Community Support Services, and I have Michelle Kessel with us, and she is part of our Family Resource Network. I'm excited to speak with you today about a valuable town program that we often don't have the opportunity to bring in front of Council. And I learned today that Michelle's been with the town for 19 years, and this is her first time speaking to Council. So I'll encourage lots of questions, and so happy to have her here. The Family Resource Network, and in particular our Family Centre program, falls under our Community Support Services Division, and it has the pleasure of serving families in High River, but also in the Greater Foothills region. This is a funding initiative through the Government of Alberta, and we've been a proud partner since 2005 when it was originally started as a Parent Link Centre. Today we are here to provide an overview of some funding changes from the province, and in particular an impact on our 2026 budget. We want to speak to you about not only the budget but also an FTE impact. But more importantly, we just want to take a few minutes to highlight this valuable program that is in our community, and a program that actually brings Council's goal of ensuring a positive future for future generations to life. So Michelle Kessel, as I mentioned, is our Resource Network Coordinator. She's the heart behind the project, and she's just going to provide an overview for you. I'll then pop back on, just do a quick summary of what's in front of you today, and then happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Shelley. So as Shelley mentioned, I've been with the town for 19 years, and I've had the pleasure of working under the Community Support Services branch. We were a Parent Link Centre from 2005 to the province's new initiative of Family Resource Networks, which took over in 2020. The idea of the Family Resource Networks were to enhance services that were already offered throughout the province, and to offer a full continuum of services for early intervention intervention and prevention. So instead of focusing on 0 to 6, our new mandate was to now focus on 0 to 18. So we, during COVID, opened up this new model, got creative with our service delivery, and we had a lot of successes under that new model. We were able to, Foothills Community Counseling is one of our spokes, and so they were, together with our family center, were able to offer families, children and youth, free counseling in their own community, which is just an amazing opportunity. We felt there was a gap for school-age kids, age 6 to 12, and so we implemented programs to teach them skills, give them independence, give them confidence, give them social emotional skill building tools to make their life a little bit better. We had success with infant program. So we started off with a mom asking us if there was ever a program just for moms with new babies. And so we said, sure, there is now. And we started it. And today, we had 57 moms in our program today with new babies. So it's amazing, and it's been a wonderful addition to our program. So we've had so many successes. We knew our contract was coming up at the end of March, and so the province again came back to us with a new focus. They wanted a greater focus on intensive services, which meant we had to shift a little bit in what we offered. And so this is why we're now coming, we put in an application. And if successful, the way that application is submitted will enhance the services we offer, but it also will give us an opportunity to provide home visitation services. So home visitation was previously still being offered by one of our spokes, but with the announcement of the application, they decided that it was not something that they wanted to pursue. And so with careful consideration, we went to the SLT team with this opportunity, and that's what brought us here today. So it is in our application going forward to include home visitation as part of our family center programs.
Great, thank you, Michelle. So before you today is a brief summary of the application that was submitted. There were some really tight timelines. We were hoping to hear about the project in the fall, and it wasn't until early February that they made the announcement. So our current contract is now extended until the end of June, but it did mean that we had a tight timeline to get our application in, and we thank you for your support for us to proceed with submitting that application, and this is now our discussion for follow-up. So the overall amount for our region, and our region is High River, all of Foothills County, Vulcan County, and as far south as Claresholm. We are applying for a hub, which is what we have been, which means we are the host for this project. And because we are here, it allows us to have 5.5 days of programming right here in High River, whereas those other communities benefit from our staff and our services, but they're typically there just 1 day or a half day a week. The dollar amount for our region was $1,050,000. And this had to be a coordinated ask. So those that were requesting funding from our region, we had to go in with a coordinated application, which meant we had to balance the dollars of how much was each organization or municipality asking for. And we had to have a full complement of programs and services. So all of that had to be coordinated prior to submitting our application. We are proud that we spent every penny in our ask of the $1,050,000, and we have checked all the boxes in that our region has submitted a complete application. It did result in a small decrease in our existing funding, but only, or in our existing programming, but only because of the shift in funding. Whereas it's not so much kind of those general programs, we had to go with more targeted and intensive programs, and we did share that across the region. What it did mean, though, was an increase in one of those intensive programs was for us to look at the opportunity, as Michelle mentioned, for the home visitation program. So this has been a program that has been provided through Wild Rose Community Connections for just over 25 years. And when Marianne approached us, we were both felt that it was an honor for us to do that and to carry that work on for her. But also really important that we kept this program local. We know from other regions that if you don't submit an application with local, the government might fill that need for you, and in other communities that has been an urban center that typically takes on those programs. And we know we do work well here, and our families trust us, and we want as much as possible for our services to remain local. So what that meant is, as you would have read, that there's a 1.3 FTE increase. What we have done, though, in this budget is we have ensured that the home visitation program is fully funded. So we're not asking for any new dollars. The money that we put to the province for this new program is fully covered by the grant. The other piece that comes out in the budget is that we were able to balance some of our numbers. So when we received the grant in 2020, those dollars stay stable. So for the last 6 years, those numbers didn't increase. So when there was an increase in salaries or an increase in costs, those costs did come to the municipality. Now that we've had a chance to revisit that budget, we were able to take in those new numbers and actually decrease the amount of funds that we're asking from the municipality. The caveat is, as those numbers go up, it will be an ask to the municipality again. What's nice about this particular grant is it's only 2 years long, so it runs from July 1st, 2026 until the end of June 2028. So if we do need to make a shift again in 2 years, we can do that at that time. That's the brief version. I'm happy to address any questions that you might have or address any concerns.
Thanks, Shelley. Thanks, Michelle. Any questions from council? Councillor Nycha.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Thank you, Shelley and Michelle. Welcome. First time in 19 years. They go okay? Good. You look fantastic. So it looks like no stress. It's a big smile. It's good. A simple question. Shelley, you mentioned that you had, I guess, a decrease in service somewhere. You said with the home visitation that was an intensification, but there was can you be specific about what we had to move to the side or shrink up a little bit? Is it going to? I guess my concern is it going to affect anything and what you're providing to the community, or just something I picked up on while you were talking?
Yes, it is quite small. We haven't had the opportunity to provide a full overview to our staff yet because this is still in draft. What we are proposing is that there are some programs that we don't offer over the summer. And those are programs where we figured we could make that cost savings, and so that made sense to us. And there was one position that their hours were stretched out over 4 days, and we're looking at bringing that into 3 days. And so I think that ended up being a 3-hour decrease in hours. But that's how we were able to make that happen. So it's insignificant enough, but yes. So that was how we wanted to go in and be as responsible with these dollars as possible, but it did mean that slight decrease. And again, those are programs that we're funded less for. So we did have to make a shift, but wanted to make sure that we were still keeping those staff as much as possible.
Thanks much. That's great. Awesome work juggling it and balancing it and keeping the service there. Yes. Cheers.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass, and thank you, ladies. That was very informative. My question was on the home visitations. In here, it says something about it could be awarded to outside service providers. What is, I know that's a risk. Do you know what that risk could be or what that would mean for you guys if that happened?
The risk is we don't know if that, because we're not able to, if we weren't able to meet that need in our community, if it does go to another service provider outside of our community, we don't know what budget number they're coming in with. When I say we budget it to the penny, we literally did. But if they come in and say, we're able to do that as well with 1.3, but it's going to cost more money. Could they say it's going to cost less? Yes, but historically, when they have to come in from Calgary, it does end up costing us more.
So this was a service that was provided by Wild Rose?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was provided locally here, and they've just chosen not to renew their contract for this service with the province. So we would never take a program away from another service provider locally. Our goal is to support them and help them, but they approached us, and so we were happy to do that. The other risk for us is when it's not from inside our community, knowing the community resources to refer to. So it's nice when families have support from someone who understands the rural component. What's not maybe showing in this budget, it shows in our large one that because we serve such a large geographic area, transportation is a huge part of our budget. And so that's another implication that might be more expensive to an outside organization. Because we were able to bring our, make the offer to provide this service with no additional cost, we thought it was kind of safe to do so that way.
Perfect. Thank you for the clarification.
No further questions from council. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that council remain supportive of the Family Resource Network application as presented, and should the application be approved by the province, be supportive of the new agreement resulting in an adjustment to the 2026 budget, which will reflect the new revenue and expenses outlined in the application, the addition of the 1.3 FTE, including the reduction of revenue from the town of High River for the duration of the 2-year term of the agreement.
I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Shelley. Thanks, Michelle. And Shelley, the United Way grants, please.
All right. So I am here on behalf of the United Way High River Partnership Committee. Our committee chairperson is Glenda Cutworth, and she unfortunately was not able to make it today, so I am happy to represent the committee. The initiative before you, for those of you that aren't familiar, we have been in existence since I believe it was just 2004, and just over $1 million has been invested in local initiatives and local social profit organizations in this community as a result of this partnership. As a reminder, this partnership, it is a combination of funds from the United Way of Calgary and area. So we're the area piece of that title, and we get a portion of the funds that they raise annually through their large campaign. Our current agreement is for $44,537. Our commitment to them, and this is when we sign our agreement, is that we do funding, we do local fundraising as well. And so partnered with that annual amount with local fundraising from last year, which was almost $13,500, we were able to invest $58,000 this year. If you have any questions about the ask, I can, or about the if you have any questions about the recommendation before you, if not, I'd be happy to read it on the mayor's behalf because I know it's a bit of a wordy one.
Thanks, Shelley. Any questions from council? So pretty self-explanatory. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that council approve the allocation as recommended by the United Way High River Partnership Investment Subcommittee of the 2026 United Way High River Partnership Community Grants, with funding to come from the 2026 budget of $58,000, which includes the annual contribution from the United Way of Calgary and area and the funds raised locally from the previous year, distributed as follows: $15,000 to the BGC Club Southern Alberta, $10,000 to Inclusion Foothills, $10,000 to High River Food for Thought, $5,000 High River Performing Arts Foundation, $5,000 to Solace Grief Support, and $13,000 to No Student Goes Hungry program.
Happy to give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you so much. I'll just do a quick little roundup on that.
Thank you.
The approved dollars, $20,000 is invested in youth initiatives, $15,000 into family and individual well-being initiatives, and $23,000 of the funds you just allocated went to food security. So thank you.
Community art policy, tree art outdoor rink at the outdoor rink. Jocelyn?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I am here today to present 2 applications for the Community Art Fund. The first application on the agenda is for a tree at the entrance of the outdoor rink at 820 Highwood Trail Southwest. Darren Jones is the selected artist, and the intention is for him to carve children playing all the sports that are possible at the new surface, such as hockey, roller hockey, basketball, volleyball, figure skating, soccer, lacrosse, rollerblading, or skating. He is anticipating taking 1 week to complete the carving. Darren was also the carver of the Sprite House tree that was carved at George Lane Park in Group Site B in 2025. The funding request is $9,000. The town's reserves include over $60,000 that is committed to funding community art that is not yet allocated to any projects. Administration anticipates recommending additional funding as part of the 2025 reserve review. Are there any questions about the proposal?
Thanks, Jocelyn. We spoke about this just a couple hours ago in the committee of the whole meeting. So a lot of that's been vetted, but this one's going to be a really cool one at the ODR. And obviously Darren's talents are pretty self-explanatory to what he did in the park before. So this should be a really cool addition to things. Questions from council on this one? Councillor Nychuk.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. No questions, Jocelyn. I'm trying to think. I had a bit of a financial question downstairs, but that was more ongoing in terms of how we're looking at each of these individual projects. I just wanted to speak on this coming more outside of George Lane Park. We've had a focus on the tree art in George Lane, and to lend to the conversation we had in committee of the whole is that we're taking an outside look at other of these tree opportunities in the community. So we have some things in town now that direct patronage, if you'd say, those of us that live here and those of us that come to visit. So this is another one of those, what I call downstairs high river isms that will become, that you'll see more of these trees throughout the community that, provide that unique aesthetic and some of those things that we all appreciate here in town. So I just wanted to speak to that expanding through our community and look forward to some of these things in other spots.
Thanks, Michael. Anyone else? See none, hear none. I will ask for a motion from Councillor Cooey that Council award $9,000 to the tree art coordinator to fund the carving of a tree at the entrance to the outdoor rink in McLaughlin Meadows in the spring of 2026.
I'll happily give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And the next one, tree art, George Lane Park and 725 McLeod Trail.
Yes, so the second application is for one tree on the boulevard, which is public land, located at 725 McLeod Trail Southwest, and the second tree is in George Lane Park. The proposed artist is Ron Schmidt, and he intends to carve spirit faces into the trees. He will do one big face on the tree in the park and two faces on the tree in McLeod Trail. The trees are estimated to take him about 20 hours from start to finish. The funding request is $2,000, and as requested in Committee of the Whole today, there will be a notification letter for the homeowner that's directly south of the tree if it's approved. Are there any questions about this proposal?
Again, we're all familiar with Ron's artwork around town, especially it's all coordinated beside my business now. It's a good landmark. Just go to where the dancing pig is. No other questions from council. Councillor McGonigal, would you like to read this motion in front of us?
Be it resolved that council award $2,000 to the tree art coordinator to fund the carving of a tree at 725 McLeod Trail Southwest and a tree in George Lane Park in the spring of 2026.
Thank you. No further questions. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jocelyn. endorsement extension. There's Sarah.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider an extension to the Highwood Ranch Phase 1 subdivision approval. The transmittal decision for Highwood Ranch Phase 1 subdivision was issued on November 1st of 2021. This phase consists of 34 residential lots along with 1 municipal reserve lot and 1 public utility lot. The original applicant requested an extension until March 27th, 2026. At that time, they provided the following rationale to Council. This project has not been initiated for construction as we have experienced supply chain issues, cost increases, and labor demand shortages that have increased prices to the point where the project becomes a challenge and the cost of housing to the end user becomes too high. Lately, we have found that the prices have adjusted down somewhat, but the labor is not there. We are also concerned about the negative impact this site experiences from the feedlot to the west, and we are also watching to determine if proposed mitigation efforts on the site have an identifiable impact on the overall use and enjoyment of the property in the future. A new applicant has since taken over the project. They have provided the following statement in support of their request, and their full letter is attached to the report. They say that we have been working in earnest to complete the endorsement conditions contained in the subdivision approval, and we are now formally requesting a 6-month extension to September 25th, 2026. We are very excited with the progress we've made towards getting this amazing project started, and we remain committed to ensuring each of the conditions are fulfilled as soon as possible. This 6-month extension would give our team sufficient time to complete the remaining conditions listed in the subdivision approval so we can commence construction of Phase 1 as soon as we have approval to do so. We will continue to work closely with the town through this process, and we will provide regular updates along the way. We appreciate your consideration of this request. While the applicant has requested a 6-month extension, administration is recommending a 1-year extension. The 6-month extension would not align with the Municipal Government Act, or MGA, and it might also not allow the applicant enough time to address all outstanding items, nor the town enough time to review all of those items submitted. Under Section 657(6) of the MGA, Council may grant multiple extensions, but only in 1-year increments. Partial year extensions are not contemplated in this legislation. Although the extension must be granted for a full year, the applicant is not required to use the entire period, and the town will continue to process the submissions as efficiently as possible. This file is also somewhat unique. Typically, engineering drawings are submitted and reviewed before the town issues the transmittal of decision. In this case, the town accepted the application as complete, even though the engineering submissions had not yet been provided. All engineering documents still need to be submitted and reviewed. In addition, the cost-sharing agreement for the Spitzy Crossy landowner group must be fully executed before the town can endorse the subdivision. Therefore, the recommended motion is the council approve an extension to March 27th, 2027 for the applicant to fulfill the prior to endorsement conditions of subdivision application 230120. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Sarah. Councillor Cooey.
Thanks very much, Sarah, for the presentation. Just a question. I know this is going to take us back, and just curious the rationale behind the engineering work not being required prior to this application coming forward. Mm-hmm. And you may or may not have been involved at that time.
To be honest, I'm not sure what it was, but perhaps our director, Riley, could recall that matter.
I know I'm testing memories here. Sorry, Riley. It's a good refresher.
You're testing my memory as well. I can't remember the specifics. I know there was a lot of challenging aspects of the engineering, and the developers will frequently want to defer that and make it a condition of approval rather than doing the work up front, so they know they have some certainty with layout, etc. And so for them to get an approval or a conditional approval based on layout and then work through how to service that later is not uncommon. And in this case, there was quite a few challenges that they had to work through, and I know there's been quite a bit of resources in terms of trying to nail that together, especially with the temporary servicing required for the area. That takes time. So for example, they had to do monitoring over a period of time of wastewater to know how many units were developable. That takes time. That's not something they would have had up front. So there is a fair bit of work. What the exact conversation was,
nope.
I can't remember, but I would expect it somewhere along those lines.
Yeah, I get that summary, and there were some challenges, absolutely, when you look at the cost share and those temporary services. Thank you, Riley.
Councillor Barton.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just looking at the package, and this is more for the public's information, but where exactly is Highwood Ranch Phase 1?
Yes, I will explain that based on the package. So the
Beaverland.
The application is within the Spitzy Crossing Area Structure Plan, and it's just directly towards the west part of town, west of Highwood Ranch. West of Highwood Village, pardon me. So it is an undeveloped area of town. The town annexed this land in, and we did and there was an ASP that was passed in 2013.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it's out, landmark is out by south of where the white barn is on the west edge of town, correct?
White?
Is it
Yeah,
red? It used to be white, wasn't it? When Kings had it, it was white. Okay. Red. It was white at one time.
It's been red for like 15 years. My question's on the cost-sharing agreement, because this has always been the long-term sticking point to the whole thing. You're shaking me off, aren't you, Riley? Where are we at with that? I know there's a draft one out there that has not been agreed upon by all landowners, correct?
That's correct. There is a draft out there. Our understanding is that one of the property owners was considering some amendments specifically about the donation land. We haven't gotten a confirmation one way or the other. If there are going to be changes, there would need to be a formal amendment.
Just to add, the draft is significantly out of date at this point. It's years old, so all the costing in it would have to be updated as well.
So like I'm totally okay with giving the 1-year extension, but until this cost-sharing agreement is in place, like, do we need that absolutely in place if they're going to do temporary servicing?
Absolutely.
Still do, right?
Absolutely,
Thank you.
This talks to decommissioning the road. It's basically developer obligations not covered by off-site levies. And it's a bit unique because these obligations come in after the development is done, whereas a developer usually puts in infrastructure ahead of time, like a storm pond is built
Right.
before the development. So things like decommissioning Longview Trail, that has to happen after. There's not a clean mechanism for that, so it's handled through the cost share. So all owners, majority of owners have to sign off on that prior to proceeding, and this is one of the major landowners, so they absolutely have to be on board with it.
Okay, so who triggers to get the cost sharing agreement updated, and
The owners.
the owners?
So we will do the work in terms of updating it, but
that
they
needs to
they
be
have to tell us they want to sign it and that they're ready to sign it.
Say that again, sorry.
We will do the updates, but they have to tell us they're willing and wanting to sign it.
Right. Okay. So it's on the ownership group to.
So they have to tell us, and then we would go do the updates and then circulate for signing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. No further questions. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that Council grant a one-year extension ending on March 27th, 2027 for the applicant to fulfill the prior to endorsement conditions of subdivision application 23.01.20.
You have my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. As I mentioned before, item 5.6 has been removed from the agenda, so we can go straight into Councillor Board and Committee reports if there's any Board Committee reports from any councillors. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. The High River Chamber of Commerce has just started something called Showcase High River Business Passport, and it runs from April 10th to May 10th. I don't know if you can get printed copies at the Chamber of Commerce, but you can also download it off their website. And you spend a minimum of $10 at participating businesses, and you get a stamp, and they have, I guess, prizes and stuff for those who participate. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the Chamber of Commerce for trying something new and different, and wish them all the success on that. So getting out and having people go to our businesses in town and maybe check out something new and different.
Thanks, Jenny. Councillor McGonigal.
Thank you. The library had a meeting since we last met. They are going through their plan of service review still. There is a survey that they're hoping, it's gone live on March 31st, and they're hoping everyone will participate in the survey to help the library plan what we'll see moving forward with the library. Let's see. Thinking. That's the newest and most important information from the meeting, is that we'd like all of the community to participate in that plan of service survey, if at all possible. It's available online, I understand. It's also available at the library if you want to do a handwritten copy, but it will help the library to determine moving forward which is what is going to serve the needs of the community best. Thank you.
Glad you mentioned that, Vicki, because this is a very, very important thing that the library is doing to get a gauge of what our community wants out of the library, and new programs or programs that aren't being used, or it's an extremely important piece, not just for the library, but for our end as well, as to how much funding comes from the town in order that they can achieve those outcomes that the community is asking for. So thanks for bringing that up. Councillor Jones again.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. Something I did want to bring up, it's not in our package and it's more of a I guess for me, kind of a personal thing is the Foothills Cadets are celebrating 20 years in our town. I know we have some past cadets from back when, right, Carol? So we are having a little bit of a celebration on May 3rd, I believe, at the Shepherd Family Barn, and it is a RSVP sort of barbecue celebration of that event, and we want to put it out there to anybody who's interested in attending. I can provide more information to that as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. Just a quick one for me, I guess, on the old CMRB group, what's left of it anyways, being Chestermere, Calgary, Cochrane, High River, Rocky View, and Airdrie, Okotoks, and Foothills County have chosen not to continue involvement in that, but it's a pretty loose thing right now where the group is trying to figure out if there's any benefit to us continuing on as some kind of a regional advocacy group or something, but there's a lot of different, of course, there's 6 of us still there. There's a lot of different opinions as to what that might look like. But we are meeting again here in 2 or 3 weeks in Cochrane to further those discussions, so I'll be attending that, and I can bring that back to see whether we continue to want to be involved in the group or not. So, board and committee minutes. Of course, in the agenda is the Shepherd Family Park Society Board minutes. And then council correspondence requiring action. I'll just read a quick motion that the mayor and council will notify administration by April 14th, 2026, availability to participate in the walk and attend the barbecue for Western Communities Foundation National Walk for Safe Places and Community on May 14th, 2026. So I'll make that motion. All in favor to send your availability in? Carried. Thank you. Council correspondence for information. A couple letters. The one regarding this one from Arlene Kirkpatrick, talking about the Premier of Alberta, talking about schools and their flags and everything else, and whether that applies to the town. The answer is no. We will continue to do our flag raisings and support those initiatives as we see fit. So, and as far as she made a comment of getting rid of crosswalks other than just the black and white ones, the only other crosswalk we have is the Legion crosswalk. And I don't think there's anybody that's going to want to get rid of the Legion crosswalk, so that's probably a no as well. There's some correspondence from STARS and correspondence from the Salvation Army as well. Thanks for rolling through that, Cody. On that note, nothing else. Meeting adjourned at 3:48 p.m. Thank you very much.